Hello, survivors. Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Geoffrey Card, and last month we introduced a new feature to the public test realm, a major change to how hordes, infestations, and sieges work. At the time, we said that this is a very early version of the feature, and that it wasn't even going to make it into the next update. So that raises a question. What is coming in our next update? What is happening in Update 29? Well, that's what we're here to show you. Before we do, though, let me introduce our guest. Here to help me walk you through the latest changes is my longtime co-host and friend, art director, Brant Fitzgerald. How you doing, Brant?
Doing well, doing well. You're cracking me up, Geoffrey, with the Hello Survivors thing.
Yeah, that's a special gift for people who watch us live. It's not going to be any of the videos, me ruining the introduction of this. The very
I
first
think
time
it
through.
should be. I think it should be.
No. We have to hide my shame. So there's a reason I've brought Brant along for this, and it's not just for his dazzling charisma. Update 29 is bringing a graphical update to the game, like the one we did in Providence Ridge a little while ago. But it's coming to all three of the original maps of State of Decay 2. Cascade Hills, Drucker County, and Meagher Valley. So we're going to get into all the details of that, as well as a bunch of other quality of life upgrades and other little minor features that we're adding to the game at the same time during this stream. So yeah, they're all getting, you know what? I already said that. So there's one thing I want to mention before we get into the details, though, and that is the fact that, where did I set this? We're doing a giveaway right now. So because a lot of the work that we do goes into the public test realm, which is on Steam only, we wanted to make sure that we're spreading the Steam love around. So we're actually going to be giving away 10 Steam codes today during the stream. So I'm leaving it to the moderators to actually set things up and make sure they're working. So they're going to give you all of the details for when you can enter. You are going to need to type !enter into the chat in order to make that happen. So, you know, whenever the moderators prompt you, go ahead and do that. And please, if you're going to do that, stay with us for the rest of the stream so that if you're one of the winners, you can claim your prize. So if you're an Xbox player who's been interested in maybe getting the game on Steam, trying the public test realm, this is an opportunity for you to get a copy of it. Or if you're already a Steam player and you maybe want to share the game with somebody else, there you go. Or if you're just somebody who came to check out the game for the very first time, you don't even own it, this could be a chance for you to get it. So we're looking forward to all of you joining us on Steam, and that'll be great. Anyway, we should get to the actual meat of this stream.
Meat.
So, in Update 29, we are going to be doing a graphical upgrade to several of the maps in State of Decay 2. Specifically, the first three maps, the ones that are the oldest that launched with the game at the outset. Right here, we're seeing Cascade Hills, some before and after video of Cascade Hills that Megan put together for us, which is great. Brant, do you want to talk us through a little bit of sort of the artistic approach we took to Cascade Hills and the changes that we're making to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Valkyrie, the outsource group or the co-development group that we worked with, did such an amazing job updating the lighting and the trees and rocks and stuff like that in our last two maps that before they moved on, we were begging them, please, for the love of God, make our original maps have this same beauty to them. And we so they jumped at it. They recreated new vegetation, new rocks. So the rocks are actually they work with each ecosystem for each map. So they're not just sort of the same standard rock all over the place. You'll see here that these ones have moss and stuff on the top. They're much more detailed. They have a scaling UV setup so that they, depending on how big we make them, they don't get the texture doesn't get blown out. They've done a lot of really nice things here. And more importantly, the lighting is because geographically in my brain hole, Cascade Hills is not very far, like, I don't know, biome wise from places like I'm losing it.
Places in Eastern Washington, is that what we're looking at? Or
I just keep wanting to say our code name for the Providence Ridge. Sorry.
Oh, right. Yeah, totally.
So relatively close ecologically to between Cascade Hills and
in Providence Ridge.
Providence Ridge. And so you're going to see a lot of the same or similar lighting setups. Not quite as misty in this map as Providence Ridge, but they're relatively close to each other. They're on probably within. If these were real towns, these would be right over next to each other over the Cascade Mountains. So relatively close to each other. So you're going to see some of the same or similar lighting setups and things like that, and trees as well, with a few differences. The other thing that you'll notice between the old and new versions of this is that they did a new set of sort of background hills and trees and things like that. So it doesn't quite feel as much like you're in a bowl in each one of these maps. They feel like they do continue on. And what they've done here is just fantastic. I can't sing their praises enough. They've done such a wonderful job for us.
So one thing I was going to show real quick is you were mentioning the fact that this map is not going to be as misty as Providence Ridge, but at certain times of day, like right here, if we cut to sunrise, you do get a little bit of that mist effect here, which is this is probably the most distinctive time of day in Cascade Hills is 6 in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. It's not. It's not quite the same location, so there's going to be a little bit different timing on that mist, but you're still going to have it for sure.
Yeah, and you've got this sort of orange tint to it, and because it only appears kind of during the sunrise, so you get this kind of orange, sunlit tint to it, which is really cool and makes it stand out from the mist in Providence Ridge.
Well, and I really like this color difference. The original Cascade Hills was a little bit green, had a greenish tint to it, and I feel like this is a much more natural feeling lighting to the map.
You can see my beautiful skills at this game, by the way. Part of the problem was I was watching actually the preview window in OBS instead of the my actual feed from the game, and so I was dragging behind the zombies just a little bit. Oh crap! I've attracted a bunch of them though. Let's move a little bit, drag these guys back home, and get them to where my people can help me out. So one thing that I was highlighting a little bit before that I should probably point out again, let me switch the time of day to closer to like midday. And this is a thing that I can do, because I've got all the cheats enabled right now. I'm not playing the retail version of the game. I'm playing the version that we've got that we use when we're developing with all of our tools and all of our cheats. So I can change the time of day absolutely at will. But unfortunately, if I'm completely surrounded by zombies, I'm gonna have a lot of trouble showing off some of the stuff I want to show off, because I know specifically Valkyrie's put a lot of effort into the way that light plays through trees. And I highlighted that a little bit before. Let me just see where the sun is in this game. Oh man, it's just, I picked a time of day where it's just a little bit cloudy. So we're not really gonna be able to get the sun shining directly through the trees. But you can kind of see like the way that, when the leaves that don't have a lot of other leaves behind them are lighter. You can sort of see the light from the sky coming through them, whereas the ones that have a lot more, that are thicker towards the middle of the tree, are darker. And it just gives them this really natural look, which just looks really nice when you're getting up close to them.
Yeah, they solved some volumetric lighting issues that we just didn't have time to in the first game, or the first time we put this out.
Yeah, first iteration again.
Yeah, and it's the fidelity of the trees and shrubbery is 10 times better. One of the things that you might find that we've been trying to track down, but still are running into, is because the trees are all new. Sometimes they poke out of the ground instead of stick in like they were, but we're tracking those down. But just super happy with how the vegetation looks. I think it just makes for a much better, much more natural feeling map than we had before.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I'm really glad that we that Valkyrie put together these before and after images, but let me grab the Cascade Hills ones again, is because once you sort of are looking at a tree, it's really easy to just sort of anchor yourself in the new tree and think, oh, this is how the trees have always looked. And it's nice to be able to sort of look at this and see like the changes. Like you look at the trees and then see how much sort of fuller and softer and sort of richer the shape of these trees are when you switch from the older version to the newer version. I just want people to look at this so they can understand the work that Valkyrie put into this and the difference that they made.
Another big thing they did was they repainted all of our ground textures. So they're much more high fidelity. They look much better. So much better than the original ground textures we had. The amount of work they put into this is phenomenal.
So let me look at a couple of other times of day in Cascade Hills so we can sort of see, how the lighting progresses over the course of the day. So this is the evening. This is sunset.
We have a winner.
Oh, we do. Who's? Oh, I didn't catch that. Oh, Dimitri Graziano. It looks like he was watching on YouTube. I know him from Facebook. It looks like he's one of our winners. That's exciting. Congratulations, Dimitri. And, folks are wondering, by the way, what difficulty I'm playing on right now. I'm only playing on Dread. Lately, I've been playing on Nightmare. I traditionally have thought of myself as a Dread player, but lately I've upped my game, and I've been playing on Nightmare, but not when I'm trying to show off the aesthetics of the game. I figure, these gunshots that I'm doing to take care of these zombies and get them out of the way so we can look at the map would be attracting everybody if I was playing on Nightmare, or certainly on Lethal. See, right now, look, I already brought all the boys to the yard, and that was not the intention. Just firing a couple of mare's leg shots. Even on Dread, that's dangerous.
Speaking of mare's leg, Geoffrey, do you want to show them after you clear yourself of this current problem, you want to show them the new
inventory icons? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just get this one last zombie. Squish, yeah. So right before I get to that, let's just look at one more lighting example here in Cascade Hills. So let me grab Midnight. So here we are in the middle of the night. You can see it's got this, we've been going lately for this kind of Hollywood night. Lately, originally we went with nights that are very, very dark, extremely black. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. And now with these sort of relit versions of the maps, we're going for a more Hollywood night where it's like, you can still see everything, and it's blue, and it's still indistinct, and the darkness still matters, but you don't feel like you're completely blinded by it. And there is sort of this sort of murky sort of wetness to the air at night, too, which is really kind of nice. It gives it this sort of really creepy, kind of swampy feel. And you can see this kind of is a little bit reminiscent of the sort of the greenish dark night in Providence Ridge, though this one is a little bit bluer, I think, if my memory is serving me right.
Yeah, and that the darkness of our nights was a long-running debate in the company, and
so whatever your opinion was of it as a player, there was somebody in the company who agreed with you.
Right, exactly.
It's something that it's difficult, deciding exactly how you're going to make your night work. I mean, there's pluses and minuses for every choice, and so we've decided to move more towards the Hollywood night, but we still are trying to retain as much as we can of that really sort of dark, creepy horror atmosphere. But we're getting more of the horror from from sort of the vibe and the colors and the fog, and we're trying to rely less on simply not being able to see things as your source of horror. And we're hoping that that's going to have a similar positive effect. So, let me switch it back to like the morning so we can see a little bit better, just because that's pleasant. But yeah, let's. I think you're right, Brent. Let's show something else. So. One piece of speculation that we heard since our last stream, some people were doing a little bit of digging in the data of our game, and they found out that we had created some new item catalogs for the Red Talon and the network weapons. And there was some speculation that what that meant was that we were going to be bringing new bounty packs focused on Red Talon weapons and network weapons, because historically, whenever we created what we call an item catalog in the data, the reason we did that was so that we could create a bounty pack, have a bunch of items that are all associated together, and they all fall under the same category, and they're unlocked in a similar way. But there was also one other thing that item catalogs gave us the ability to do, which is assign little icons to the weapons. You see right here on this mare's leg, over by the words open range pack up there, and also on the tile, you've got this little cow skull that represents that this is a weapon from the open range pack. And that was really helpful because we were worried, when we were originally implementing the bounty broker, that when people people got weapons from the bounty broker, if they blended in too much with the other weapons, it would be easy to accidentally, sort of mulch them into parts and throw them away and or sell them and not realize you had sold something that was very valuable and difficult to get. So we gave them these unique icons so you could always tell which weapons were your special rare weapons that you got from the bounty broker. But something we realized recently is the fact that there's a lot of other weapons in the game that also feel special, including the network branded and Red Talon branded weapons that are also sometimes pretty difficult to get, and they're some of people's favorites. And if we the fact that they blend in with all of the other weapons is kind of a problem. So you'll notice that right here I've got my network DIY assault rifle, and so this weapon has now also got a symbol on it. So the reason we created item catalogs for the network and Red Talon weapons was not to create new bounty packs. The bounty packs, we're relieved that we've gotten all 12 packs done. We're giving them a break for a while. Instead, the reason we created those item catalogs was to assign these icons to the Red Talon and network weapons. So you can see she's got this network DIY assault rifle. If I switch to another character, I don't remember exactly what each character in this base has got on them. But yeah, right here you can see the MCX Osprey. It's got a little RT icon right there, indicating that it's a Red Talon weapon. So that's what that is all about. So I know that we've got Sunny Games in the chat, who was one of the folks who was speculating what this could possibly mean. This is your answer. We were just sticking little icons on these weapons because we wanted them to be easier for you to keep track of and avoid mulching. So if you like this, let us know. Leave a comment down below or whatever. Let us know because
hit that smash button or smash that like button.
Tweet at us because there's other categories of weapons in the game that might need this kind of distinction. We would love to get your feedback on that. So there you go. That's what we did.
And it gave us an opportunity to highlight Mark Lautenbach's amazing icon creation skills yet again.
Absolutely, that is completely true. So, having done this, let's go and check. I'm going to pause this game. Let's go and talk about Drucker County. Now, I'm going to ask Brant in just a second to do an introduction to this while I switch to a completely different community that is set in Drucker County. So, let me just wait a sec. Drucker County is also one of the maps that we are doing a revision of in Update 29. Brant, do you want to give folks a primer on what we actually did here in Drucker County? To me, it seems like one of the more dramatic changes that we've actually made.
Drucker actually got the biggest facelift. It got all new trees and vegetation, from bottom up, because, our intent was to show sort of the more arid parts of the Pacific Northwest, the Columbia Plateau, things like that, and just retexturing our old rocks was not cutting it, and neither was using our Western Washington based trees and shrubs. So they went ahead and did a whole new set of trees and bushes and rocks and ground textures for Drucker to get that sort of arid feel to it that it needed, because it's such a different biome than Western Washington is.
Yeah.
And it is also you're going to see the lighting it's going to feel drier and sometimes crisper, and sometimes dustier because there's a lot of dust in Eastern Washington. And that shot in particular, I just love, because that feels like if you go to Eastern Washington and look at, stand on top of Steptoe Butte and look at the sunset, it's going to look a lot like that actually, because they took a lot of pride in trying to make this feel both different and from our other maps, but also stay with that Pacific Northwest feeling of State of Decay. And I think they knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
Yeah, the reddish look that they gave, it's just a subtle reddish tone that they gave to all of the rocks and kind of the dirt on this map has made such a difference, because when you're making a map that's meant to feel sort of dry and deserty, it's really easy to just sort of lean into sort of a brown color that sort of makes everything sort of flow together and just feel like you're playing a game in sepia tones. But when they have this sort of red color in here, it feels like it's a much more sort of distinctive look that the map has. It's like, oh wow, this feels like I'm in a red desert. It's like you're gonna be able to tell really clearly that you're in Drucker County and not in any of the other maps whenever you're here, which is just, I don't know, it's got a really cool vibe to it.
Yeah, one of the questions was, can we tweet out these before and after videos? And I'm sure that we can do that. I'll talk to Megan and see if we can make those into things.
I actually think that actually was the reason that they were created. I actually stole them to put in this video, to put in this stream. Yeah, I think they were created specifically so that we could share them on social media once we had announced Update 29. So yeah, totally expect that you'll be able to see those someplace. I'm not sure exactly where. Maybe it'll be our Instagram account. Maybe it'll be tweets. Maybe it'll be everywhere. I don't know. Heather could probably give us a solid answer to that.
Heather covers all the bases. So it might even be on MySpace and, you know.
Yeah, so I brought the sort of the red off-road vehicle here. I figured that would probably be oh my gosh, what the zombies. I figured that would be sort of the best one to sort of take through this area. I'm gonna be driving up towards like one of the biggest landmarks in Drucker County, which is the 10,000 gallon hat. But check it. So this is the morning right now. This is the way it's lit in the morning, where you'll notice that Cascade Hills was very foggy, and it felt like sort of the light was sort of like shining almost through an ocean in the air. Here, there's still dust in the air, and you're still getting that beautiful sort of depth and parallax effect as you're looking at these rolling hills and mountains in the background. But you still feel like you're being hit by the sun. You're not sort of under the shelter of fog the same way you are in Providence Ridge. I mean,
if you're trying to get to the 10,000 gallon hat, you're going to the exact opposite.
Did I just take I did take the wrong turn. Wasn't paying attention. I'm sitting here trying to talk about the lighting, and I'm not navigating my car. We'll do it. We'll get there eventually. It's fine. So you were saying that so a lot of our maps, they do share a lot of things in common. A lot of the buildings are similar, a lot of the fences and things like that. Like, it's really efficient for us to reuse a lot of art assets, but it sounds like Drucker County actually got, a lot of stuff that is not really necessarily shared with all of the other maps. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by the nature of our game, we are obligated to use roughly the same building setups and things like that. So a house in Drucker is going to be, you're going to find the same house somewhere in Cascade Hills. You're going to find it, you're going to find it over and over again. That's just, we don't have an option to do something different than that.
Yeah.
But Drucker now actually feels like someplace that's completely different because of this massive change we made to the plants and trees.
Yeah.
And the lighting, like you were saying, the dust in the air reminds me so much of when I was a farmer over in Eastern Washington, because every morning you'd get up and it might be clear, but then the farmers get out and start messing with the fields, and dust gets in the air, and you can almost taste the air because there's so much grit and stuff in it.
Like, check out these, I'm looking at sort of this. There is enough dust in the air that like sort of the sun is a little bit obscured, but you can see these like very subtle God rays that are coming through between the branches of these kind of sparse, dry-looking trees, and you just get this vibe of being in sort of this sort of warm, dry place that is, I don't know, it's just really hard to replicate in any of the other maps. Like you feel a certain way in here that you just don't feel anywhere else, which is really cool. Let me switch up the time of day real quick so we can see what this map looks like around noon. So yeah, the sun gets very bright during the day. I think one thing that you'll notice that I think a lot of our lighting, we pushed it to be even more naturalistic than it was before. You'll see a lot of sort of like comparing the new lighting to the old lighting. The old lighting does tend to have a little bit more of like a kind of a high contrast sort of video game vibe, whereas the newer lighting tends to be a little bit like sort of softer, like the atmospheric effects are a little stronger. But noon in Drucker is still really bright and high contrast because you want that in the desert, right?
Yeah, this is closer to sort of real life than we've ever been, actually.
And these, like,
in
I
my
mean,
opinion.
these towering desert rocks, you know, it's like you're not going to see this, you know, necessarily a lot in Cascade Hills, but it really gives sort of this, like, distinctive look to Drucker. And check out that chasm in the distance. So you were
Yeah,
saying...
that's actually some of the new stuff that they added to give it a much, you know, make you feel like you're part of a larger world instead of just in a cereal bowl of you know, rocks.
Exactly, yeah. If it's just like, if every map is just sort of surrounded by terrain bumps in the background, it's not nearly as interesting as, you know, Providence Ridge having, you know, or like Trumbull Valley having this massive mountain in the background versus, you know, there being a canyon that you can see from here. It really makes them feel like they're different places, not just like you said, a bunch of cereal bowls all next to each other with like little ridges in between. So yeah, I love the 10,000 gallon hat. So I like using it as sort of like a foreground landmark when I'm, you know, looking over at the desert in the background. But yeah, while I'm over here, let's I think I'm gonna climb up this guy and see what we can see, because
I mean, you might as well. You've made the trek.
Yeah, exactly. While I do, let's go. Actually, let's bring the lighting into sort of the sunset sort of vibe. So you can see now the stuff in the foreground is a little darker, and the sky is still bright, but not for long.
And I'd like to announce another winner.
Oh, cool.
Xaphius, Xafius on YouTube. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So yeah, we're so glad that you're getting a Steam code, so you can join us in the public test realm, and you can try all these changes out before anybody else. One of our favorite things. Oh, and actually, you know, somebody asked you a question. You answered in the chat, Brant, but I should bring it up too. People are asking, you know, if you run into a bug that is like killing your survivors or something, and you really want to make sure that we're on top of it, what you want to do is go to support.stateofdecay.com. There you can sort of lodge a ticket, and you know our customer advocate team will you know listen to you. And if you found a new bug that we aren't aware of, they'll write up a bug and they'll use whatever reference you're able to give them as sort of the foundation for our work trying to fix it. So yeah, we would love to have you participate that way. We really, base a lot of our work on the feedback that we get from players through the support side.
Here's a really important question. Will the game's minimum requirement specs be going up with all the graphical enhancements? And the answer is no.
Yeah, Valkyrie, they're a bunch of pros, and they work. They've got a lot of experience working in video game development, and one of the key skills you have to have is you can't just throw all of the polygons on whatever problem you're trying to solve when you're doing video game art. You have to always think, within your resource constraints. And so yeah, they have like part of what makes Valkyrie really, great at their jobs is the fact that they know all of the tricks that it takes to make something look really good but still be really performant.
Yes. I mean, they have levels of expertise that we didn't have when we made the game. So it was just their knowledge base was vital, and I can't sing their praises enough. I wish they were sitting right here because I'd be high-fiving them.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, I think I'm being quietly chased by zombies, so I'm gonna climb up here real quick. Oh wait, I can't climb up.
You're not gonna climb up that rock.
That rock is not gonna work for me. I'm just trying to get where. Well, how did I get here? I jumped down off these rocks. They are not scalable. So I'm gonna go around and try to get back to my car.
Have you been playing a game that you can climb rocks, unlike ours, Geoffrey?
Yeah, it's like I've been sitting there playing Dying Light 2 for the past few days instead of State of Decay 2.
Yes, that is a problem.
So yeah, that happens to me all the time. I also keep trying to do things that I can do in Rainbow Six Extraction while I'm playing State of Decay 2.
Like shoot through walls and things?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to pop into this car, put a little distance between me and the zombies, but then I want to just show real quick before we switch. I'll just let the zombies get on the car. It's fine. This is what Drucker looks like at night. So this might be one of the best, strongest contrasts between day and night that we have in the game, where you go from this bright sun at noon to this sort of deep darkness at night, which is just, I don't know, it's beautiful. It still has a little bit of that red tone to it that makes it look different from the other maps. But yeah, it's got a whole different vibe from the daytime.
Yeah, I mean, the nighttime here feels a little stuffy, right? And it's supposed to, because it can often get really hot at night in Eastern Washington. It can also get cold, but we're not doing the winter thing. So, but yeah, we want definitely, again, Valkyrie listened and understood that we wanted each map to still have its own kind of unique feel in the lighting, but not be video game feel anymore, with the matrix green overlay or whatever you want to call it. It just feels right. Everything about it feels right.
Especially if you're in a map like this one, which is newly settled and it's full of plague hearts. The plague hearts fog adds a lot to the existing Drucker County, dust, and they all together just really create this sort of stuffy vibe.
Yeah, we do have a quick question.
Doug
Williams still working on more conceptual arts, and I will say no. My co-creator, Doug Williams, one of the most creative people I've ever met in my entire life, has moved into the big leagues. He's working on movies now, and so it's down to imposters like myself to try and make artistic decisions. But again, this was all made a lot easier by the capabilities of the artists over at Valkyrie. They listened to what we were looking for, and they made it all really easy.
Yeah, a fitting tribute and goodbye to Doug Williams. We honestly probably should have made a bigger deal out of it after he left, just so we can say, give him an official goodbye. But it's always hard to keep up with that kind of stuff. Let me quickly switch this back to brighter lighting.
Oh, and somebody's poking the wound, Geoffrey. Didn't Valkyrie recently get picked up by Sony? Yes.
They did. Yeah, we'll probably chat about that a little bit towards the end of the stream.
Yeah, that's ripping off the Band-Aid. I'm gonna cry a little bit.
All right, let me quickly let me switch to another view here so we can kick off our next topic. So you might have noticed that I've been using this image in the background. We've actually got several of these. I'm not sure who on the team captured them, but they're beautiful. You can see people hacking at fences. And that's for a reason. This is something you used to not be able to do before. But a couple of the folks at Valkyrie realized that, when you're swinging a heavy weapon near some zombies and you hit a fence and the fence doesn't respond, it didn't feel quite right. And so they put some time into making sure that actually when you swing a weapon at a fence, particularly when you swing a heavy weapon at a fence or any breakable in the game, you can actually damage that breakable and make a difference to it. So I'm sitting here in Drucker County. I equipped all of my characters with heavy weapons so that we could actually see this in action. So you come up to a breakable like a fence here, and you can take down little pieces of it, chop it in half, wreck it. And it's not just the little fences. You can do it with the big fences too. Basically any fence that you can smash through with your car, you can also take out chunks of it with a heavy weapon.
Hey, Geoffrey, see if it works on the windows of that building behind you.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. I actually have not tested that.
I think it's supposed to work on just about every breakable.
There we go. Nice. Yeah. It totally does work. So yeah, this is another advantage basically that you get for carrying a heavy weapon. Not only are they better against plague hearts and juggernauts, they're also now better against obstacles. They're much slower and they cost a lot of fatigue. So unless you've got Powerhouse, you want to be careful with them because there's a heavy cost to using them. But they've got some new advantages now, which feels really good.
Let's nip this in the bud before we start getting lots of snarky comments too. Yes, obviously, if you hit a window with a regular hammer, it's going to break, but not in this game.
It's actually kind of hard to break a window in a commercial establishment. They put a lot of effort into making those hard to break. So, we make you put some extra energy into it. But yeah, so it's a new advantage to having heavy weapons, which feels pretty good. So yeah, thank you. This is another reason we've been thanking Valkyrie like crazy. This is another reason to thank Valkyrie because they set this up for us. We brag about their artists a lot. They also have programmers and designers who are really good.
Geoffrey, we just got the best comment or question of the day though.
What's that?
From Sarah on Twitch.
Twitch?
Does your car fly away when you hit it with a heavy weapon?
We should definitely find out. Let's take care of these zombies here. But no, basically what they did was they changed sort of, the existing things that are flagged as breakable and that have breakable, states and stuff like that. those things. Okay, this is not working. Hold on a second. There we go. That's much better. Anyway, so I'm assuming there'd be no reason why it would affect a car any more than it has before. Nope. Car is safe. So don't worry about suddenly sending it into oblivion. You're going to be fine. And thank you for the question, Sarah. Ooh. So Fuzzy Cuffs wants to know, they're trying to remember, do juggernauts smash through those kinds of fences? Yes. So you're basically now, when you're wielding a heavy weapon, you're effectively a juggernaut. You can't knock cars out of the way that juggernauts can, but you can crash through fences. You don't just have to climb them. Though, a lot of times, actually, smashing a fence is not what you want to do. Sometimes climbing a fence can slow down the zombies in a way that you actually want, and you want to leave the fence intact. So you can do things like, for instance, sneak behind the fence, which is something that Zoe made possible in a previous update. So all of these updates are kind of working together to try to make this feel like a more cohesive, more sort of grounded experience in a world that sort of hangs together and makes sense.
Zane the Bear says, honestly, Zane the Bear can't wait to play it. Who said? Somebody said it might be nice to have it affect the cars a little bit, and I'm like, do you really want us to mess with the physics on our cars yet again?
Yeah, exactly. We just got the cars to stop flipping out whenever we repair them. The last thing we want to do is touch them ever again, unless there's a problem. Yeah. All right. I am going to pause this, and we will again switch to another setup screen so that I can load my game that's in Meagher Valley. So let me get that started. Actually, yeah, we'll introduce this. Yet another map that is getting an upgrade in Update 29 is Meagher Valley. It's the third, and actually probably, I think historically it's been the fan favorite of the 3 original maps that we launched with State of Decay 2 at the very beginning. So I'm in the process of reloading a new community so I can show Meagher Valley in person. But Brant, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on, like the artistic decisions that were made here in Meagher Valley?
Yeah, Meagher's definitely sort of that middle ground between the mountains and sort of the desert. So this is going to be really good farmland, but it's also going to have, sorry, if you guys are hearing my notifications, I can't turn them off.
No, I can't hear them at all. I'm sure you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, so this is sort of that, if you're familiar with Eastern Washington, you come out of the mountains, and you got a nice long drive down towards the Columbia River, and this is sort of where you're at in Meagher Valley. It's some of the world's best agricultural land, just because of how the dirt was formed and things like that. But it's also very Americana in that, that small farming community that is just about everywhere, and hopefully not dying away, but Meagher is still holding on. But yeah, this is definitely meant to be sort of in between, and the lighting setup is going to sort of reflect that idea as well.
Yeah, what my favorite thing about that before and after with the bridge, I'm waiting for it to come up again, is that we nuked a mountain. There's an entire mountain in the background that's gone. I think it might be next. Yes, check out that mountain. Boom! It actually reminds me of when I used to live in Yorba Linda, California in the late 90s. There was a mountain on the horizon when I moved there that slowly, they just got a bunch of bulldozers and they just slowly bulldozed the mountain down layer by layer and then built a neighborhood on top of it. And so it just kind of sends me back to my youth.
That's our representation of the before and after of Mount St. Helens.
Yeah, there you go. But there is actually still a mountain on the horizon. It's just much further away. If you watch that, and so it's basically. I mean, do you want to sort of like characterize like why sort of the mountains are pushed back and it doesn't have that same sort of domineering presence?
Well, a couple of reasons. We've got a domineering mountain in our game already, and that's Mount Tanner. And I mean, Mount Tanner looks like Mount Tanner looks like it's taller than K2, right? But in an effort to sort of make the maps feel larger and make them feel less contained, they stretched out those sight lines, taking that mountain and pushing it farther out. Really helped to expand that.
Yeah, it kind of sells the distances and just sort of that you're in sort of a valley that's like, a very broad valley that's between all these mountains.
Right, and you're not quite as close to the mountains as, say, Cascade Hills or Providence Ridge, where you're right in the mountains, right? So we definitely wanted to give this place yet. Again, this map should have its own sort of spot on the map that it feels like it belongs in, and right next to the mountain, like right next to a large mountain, was not aiding that at all. So pulled it a little bit away, gave it its own space. I imagine in my head, you pass, you come over the mountains, you pass through Meagher Valley on your way to Drucker, basically.
So I'm going to climb up here because I really want to get a nice view of these windmills again. So this is 6 in the morning. This is during sunrise. I just really want to get a view of these sort of windmill silhouettes that we've got against this really bright sky. Just look how blindingly bright that sky is with these windmills moving in the foreground. I really love the way this looks.
Yeah, I mean, I could stare at this for a long time. This is kind of what I'd always hoped our game would look like, and it makes me really happy that we're here at this point.
And then I'll switch it over to noon.
And super thankful that everyone out there has been supporting the game long enough that we could make almost 30 freaking updates to it.
Yeah.
To continue to make it better.
I can't believe if you'd told me like 3 or 4 years ago that we'd be on update 29 at this point.
Yes.
I would think you were insane. I love, by the way, so where Drucker had sort of this kind of a red tone to it, and Cascade was sort of had a little bit of, it was originally green, has a little bit more bluish now. Like we've got this white fog that comes in and just really sort of like it kind of washes things out in this sort of like beautiful and kind of naturalistic feel. You can really feel the distances from here to the horizon, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, those farther mountains really add a massive amount of depth to this. So just super glad that we got that. These are the kind of sight lines that make Washington one of the most beautiful places in the whole world.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then when the sun is about to go down, a lot of that mist sort of goes away, and you can sort of like, you can see a little bit further. It loses a little bit of the depth, but then it gets sort of like, there's just a different sort of like reddish, sort of sunsetty tone that it takes on at this point. Sort of feel the dusk starting to encroach. I'm gonna come down here, start driving around a little bit more, and then maybe we'll have a look at the way it looks at night. Oh, so we are getting questions about the release date of all of this in the chat. We're going to answer that at the end of the stream. So yeah, so don't worry about it. We are going to give you some. We won't be able to be 100% precise, but you will get a sense of the time frame that we're aiming at. So I just love sort of the variance of colors here. It's like you got this kind of like, some reddish stuff in the foreground, the pale blue mountains in the background, and the pink clouds lit by the sun as it's going down. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like just all these sort of different colors and brightnesses going deep into the frame. It just really sort of sells the distance that's involved. I'm going to switch it to midnight so we can sort of see what it looks like when it's really super dark. And yeah, suddenly all that distance goes away and it kind of encroaches in, and now you can just see what's in front of your face. You can see some of the distance there, more than you ever could before, but it's still, the difference is still pretty big. It's a little bit more claustrophobic here at night.
Yeah, part of the reason why we went with this, semi-lit, quote-unquote Hollywood night is because it is really hard to navigate around the map if you don't have any reference points. And so even a horizon line, even if it's really faint, or just being able to see some of the trees a little farther away, something like that, gives you an idea of where you are and how to navigate around the map. So while we did lose some of that ridiculous jump scare horror out of nowhere kind of feel, in the darkest night, I think it was worth it just on a quality of life level to allow you to be able to move around a little bit easier.
Yeah, we have a fair number of players who like to turn off their HUD when they play, and that's for a lot of different reasons. Some of them are really good screenshotters who don't want anything in the way. Some of them just really like sort of the the added immersion you get from having no HUD. But I think part of it too is that it's very easy to sort of get addicted to your minimap, and this is the way I play. I tend to play games just staring straight at the minimap almost the entire time. It's like I'm playing an old school 2D game instead of an immersive 3D game. And I think a lot of people who remove their HUD, what they want to do is be able to be immersed in the world and be able to keep their eyes on the horizon, not on a map in their lap, basically. And so this go ahead.
Or they're crazy like Adam Survives.
Or they're crazy like Adam Survives, exactly. But yeah, so I think that, this kind of night lighting does a good job of making that more possible, making that a more feasible thing. Even if you do keep the HUD up, you're capable of sort of seeing more and getting more immersed in the world, you're not quite as reliant on just navigating by elements in your HUD.
I gotta have a special shout out to Spear of Bitter Mercy on Twitch. She literally kept me alive for a year. I lived in her basement and she fed me.
Awesome. We've got another few winners, by the way. We've got a winner named Izzy Zig and a winner named Greaves Gaming. They're both going to be getting Steam codes, so that's exciting. Congratulations. And I think we've probably seen our share of this map. So let me, here, I'm going to pause the game and remind myself what we were going to show next.
P1, the Brant and Geoffrey puppets, I hope, are safe at the office. We have no idea, though, because the office is under construction.
All right, we've got, I'm gonna set our lighting up so that we can actually appreciate the next thing we're going to do. And actually, I'm going to try to get to a place that's a little bit more interesting. Oh, actually, we're right here. We've got this nursery over here that's going to be a fun place to explore. Let me... Here, get this zombie off my door. Here we go. All right. I'm going to pause the game, and then let's get into this. So, one popular feature in one of our One popular feature in one of our earlier releases to the public test realm was the field of view slider. This is an option in the settings menu that lets you change the field of view of the camera, so you can zoom it really tight or take it really wide. Not quite to a fisheye lens, but out there pretty far. And we weren't able to ship it with the update that it seemed like it was going to be associated with, because we found a few bugs in it at the very last minute that we wanted to make sure we took the time to iron out before we put this in front of everybody. And so that's one of the reasons why we have the public test realm, is that people can explore features and sort of examine them and give us feedback on them and help us find the problems with them before we go live. So this feature was actually a success story for us with using the public test realm, because we were able to discover something that was not quite ready for prime time and keep it from going out into an update. But we have now spent more time on the field of view slider. We have actually solved those bugs, and now we're ready for it to go live. So it is going to be in update 29. So let me actually drop back into sort of my gameplay view.
Hey, Geoffrey,
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't, because chat universally hates the idea.
Yes, that was actually one of the biggest questions we got on that particular update was, what happened to the field of view slider? Why didn't you include the field of view slider? What is wrong with you people? Why are you jerks taking away my favorite toys? And so, yeah, let me just kill these zombies real quick so that I can take a deep breath and focus on changing the field of view. So, by default, this is in the video menu. It's the second option. By default, you're at 70, which is the field of view we've been using throughout State of Decay, up until this point. But if you can shift it all the way up to 100, and when you're widening the field of view, that's like zooming out. It's like going from a normal view to, like, say, a fisheye lens. And so when you widen it that far, you can see a really wide swath of terrain around your character. Now, the camera will still go in and out, based on whether you're aiming a gun, based on whether you're in combat, that sort of thing. But by and large, it'll be wider. And one of the reasons people do this a lot of the time is because it can help with motion sickness sometimes. If you can see more of what's around you and you're getting less sort of like parallax from scrolling the camera back and forth, then it actually can help you to manage sort of motion sickness symptoms. This zombie, I think, is trapped. and sort of put them out of their
Yeah,
misery.
thanks for highlighting a bug for me, Jeffrey. I'm going to have some more work to do after this.
Yeah, totally. So this is what it looks like to sort of run around with the field of view set to the maximum. Now, for me as a player, this is a little excessive. I'm getting, a lot of sort of like around the edges of the screen. I'm detecting sort of the distortion that comes with a wide field of view. So it's got its downsides if you take it all the way out here. But it does give you a lot of room to sort of find where you're comfortable with the field of view, and sort of set it wherever makes sense for you. And some players might want this just for the added sort of situational awareness you get. It's a lot harder for a zombie to sneak up on me from behind when my field of view is this wide, and I can see several meters behind me at all times. But let's look at the opposite extreme. So if I go grab the field of view slider again and bring it all the way down, so you can go 30 in either direction. You start at 70, you can go all the way to 100, or all the way down to 40. So if we go down to 40, this feels a lot more like, say, you're playing, God of War or
Resident
The Last of
Evil.
Us, right? You're just right up there in your character's grill, which can be fun for, like, say, getting screenshots of them, stuff like that. It also has this sense of, like, claustrophobia. You're sneaking into an area. You can't see zombies sneaking up behind you. It can really sort of contribute to the atmosphere. And it also lets you see a little bit further ahead. Like, it's easier to sort of focus on things in the distance, in the direction your character is facing. Like, if you want to really sort of immerse yourself in the perspective of a character who can't see everything around them, who has to have their head on a swivel, this might be more what you're looking for. It does cut your character off the legs, so if you're looking for, screenshots of your character in action, you want to get their whole body, a tight field of view isn't going to help you with that. And it is also probably going to exacerbate motion sickness for people who deal with that more than others. Because you get a lot of as you're turning the camera, you get a lot of parallax and a lot of movement for every little tweak. So there you go. But that's a field of view slider. We're excited about it. And you know what else we're excited about? We've got another couple of winners of our Steam Code giveaway. So Lucky
right.
Filmer is a winner, and so is Brandon. So, I mean, I assume it's one particular Brandon and not every Brandon that just won. But congratulations to you two for picking up those Steam codes. Isn't that beautiful? So,
Does that field of view? Does that field of view continue when you jump in a car? Because I know our camera changes once you get in the car too.
That's a really good thing for me to check out. Let me have a look. So, I mean, yes, it does affect the game just in every setting. But let's have a look at what that looks like in the car. So you can see that the camera is really, really close when you're in the vehicle. And so it's almost like, I mean, the game doesn't have a first-person view for driving a car the way a lot of, like, say, racing games do. But you can get the whole car in frame. It's really large in the frame. You can get it in the frame. But a lot of the time, it does feel almost like you're having to look through the dashboard, or look through the windshield. No one can look through a dashboard unless you're Superman. But you can look through the windshield and sort of see the zombies coming up on you. So, and then again, let me sort of back this out so you can see what driving a car looks like when you've got the field of view set all the way up to 100. Oh, one other thing I should point out too is if you actually get into a really fast car, which I don't have, if you've got a really tight field of view, sometimes that can sort of change the sense of speed that you have. So here, you can tell I'm further away from the car, but because this is a wide field of view, you can see the street rushing under the camera a lot faster because you're not just looking straight forward, you're also looking down at the same time. And so you can see the street moving under you as fast as it would if you were just looking straight down at the ground, if you opened your car door and leaned down and looked at the ground beneath you. And so that can kind of enhance the sense of speed that you get from going forward.
You're definitely going to be through a bloater before you see him at this point.
Yeah, totally. So we are running really low on time, but I really wanted to make sure that we got to all the rest of the little minor patch notes. So how do people feel about me doing a really quick sort of speed round through the rest of the patch notes? I think we can do this. I think I can make this happen. Just set
do
the
it,
controller
Jeffrey.
down. Okay. Okay, I'm all set up. Here we go. So to summarize everything that's going into Update 29, let's start with the big stuff. We've revised Cascade Hills. It's got a whole new look to the lighting, the rocks, the trees, all of that stuff. Similarly, we've revamped Drucker County. It's got that whole red tone to the rocks. It's got a whole different lighting scheme. Feels really bright and dry. We've refurbished Meagher Valley. It's got that much, longer sight lines into the distance. It's got that white mist that sort of really makes you feel the distances involved. The place feels really huge. We've got fence smashing with heavy weapons. You can break stuff if you're carrying a heavy weapon around. We've got Red Talon and Network icons on Red Talon and Network weapons. So you can more easily identify them, recognize their value, and not accidentally mulch them with a bunch of other garbage guns. We've got the field of view slider set up so that you can, we're actually releasing it this time so you can make the camera narrower, you can make it wider, you can really customize the look and feel of the camera to your own preferences. And then on top of all of those, we've got a bunch of other minor bug fixes and quality of life stuff that we can kind of go over. Only a few of them get bullet points on this list. But we fixed, for instance, a small hole in the ground northwest of Jurassic Junction in Trumbull Valley. Apparently there was a place you could fall through the world. Now we don't have it anymore. Axes make sounds again when impacting an armored zombie. Apparently that sound got broken for a little while, but it's fixed now. So if you were noticing that problem, you shouldn't notice anymore in Update 29. The Echo Lab Research Station. This one has a storied history. It can once again produce 10 plague samples if your community has a pathology skill, as it should. This one has been just giving us a bunch of headaches, but I'm pretty sure it permanently works as intended now. Gunslinging's aim snap ability no longer removes spread on shotguns. So your weapons typically have some spread to them, like their bullets will go in different places, and you can tell that from the wide crosshair. But when you use gunslinging, it always narrows the crosshair to be perfectly precise on the zombie you're aiming at. The problem was it was doing that with shotguns, whose shotgun pellets were also narrowing down to a single point, and it was just doing a massive amount of damage to that one point.
I was so taking advantage of that.
Sorry, it's gone now. So now you'll still be able to target a zombie using gunslinging, but the pellets will still spread the way that they're supposed to. Another thing we fixed was it used to be that if you were the host of a game, you could stand on top of a car and you would have no fall animation when the car tried to move out from under you. And so it meant that you could car surf for quite some time, but it also looked really awkward when you did inevitably fall off the car. And so we made a change where the host character will now fall and use a falling animation when standing on top of a moving vehicle. Sorry to take car surfing away again. I know you're disappointed, Brant. We fixed an issue where characters can be stuck in a state where they can't move after briefly sprinting. This should no longer occur. So if you were noticing your characters getting stuck, hopefully we fixed the thing that was going to be causing that. Dismissing a character who was following you while they were crouching will no longer cause that AI character to crouch walk everywhere for the rest of their lives. So if you were having fun with that, we're so sorry. We've taken that bug away from you. The second's workstation site has stopped its lying ways and no longer says it's claimable. So that's a site in one of our maps that was pretending that it was claimable when it actually wasn't. So now it no longer gives you false advertising. We updated the landmark outpost menu to clarify initial versus ongoing research cost for landmark outpost strategies. So basically what that means is when you're trying to claim a landmark outpost and you have to choose which strategy you're going to trigger initially on that landmark outpost, it's giving you more useful and more accurate information on what things are going to cost. The Haven device build description now calls out that the player will need to find the Haven capsule in Trumbull Valley. So because the Haven, all of our buildable items in the facility list are always there all the time, even if you haven't found any of the unlockable items that are necessary to build them, like the Red Talon stuff that you can build because you played Daybreak. We're now more specifically calling out what you need and where to get it. So if you're a new player and you see the Haven device on there, you're like, Haven capsule? Where do I find a Haven capsule? Now we're providing you with the answer. Instead of constantly enabling and disabling, the packing the bunk passive now stays enabled in communities with 8 or more survivors. I forgot which base that was in, Brett. Do you remember?
Yeah, that's the farm compound in Trumbull.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So basically, yeah, we're communicating a little bit better about one of the advantages of the farmland compound. So refusing to help in the mission that's called Marshall Stories New in Town now causes the mission to actually fail. So if that's what you wanted, if you wanted to actually leave those people abandoned and not lead them to the Snyder warehouse, you can actually make the mission go away by telling them so. In Heartland, dialogue no longer plays out of order during the neighborhood unrest mission when Quincy is dead. So we just had a weird thing in there with the dialogue scripting. You probably won't notice the difference, but there you go. It's in there. The still life mission now tells you the name of the site where you should go. So basically, we're just improving some of the mission scripting, across the board. Minor quality of life things, not a huge deal, but we want you to know that we're still working on all of this stuff, to make the game experience better. And finally, the last item is that advanced toolkits can now sometimes be found in Plague Hearts on lethal difficulty. So if you're playing on lethal difficulty and you're killing Plague Hearts, you're not going to be finding regular garbage toolkits in there. You're going to be finding advanced toolkits because your cards are taking a lot more damage in lethal and you're going to need to have the help. So there you go. There's the patch notes for Update 29. So the question that remains is, when is Update 29 coming out? So we don't have precise dates for you, but we can tell you what we know. First off, Update 29 is coming to the public test realm before other places, and it's going to be there this week. So within a few days, you should be able to play all of these new improvements, the new maps, not new maps, but the new revisions to the maps, and also the the new quality of life improvements, all of this stuff, the FOV slider. It's coming in this week to the public test realm. And then when is it going to be live for everyone? Before the end of the month. So we're going to have a little bit of time in the public test realm to make sure everything works fine. And then once we're sure it all works fine, we're going to release it to everybody, and it's going to be before March. So enjoy. That's going to be Update 29. And, and then we've still got, a bunch of these other features, things like the infestation updates. Those are still slated for a later update. Those are going to be coming in probably, Update 30 or beyond. We're going to have to figure out what's happening there. But the main thing I want to tell you is we're still working on this game. People always theorize every update that it's the last update. This is not the last update. We've got more irons in the fire, more things we're going to be ready to share with you, and lots of things that we haven't even talked to you about yet. So look forward to that. We look forward to getting your feedback in the public test realm. And there you go. So I'm trying to think if there's anything I have forgotten to say or do. So I think, while we're saying, we're going to go to like our outro screen in just a second, but real quick, I wanted to make sure that that's my little reminder of how to enter the contest, which is over. Actually, we should call out real quick. We've got a few more winners to the contest. So just to go over everybody who's won a Steam code from us during the stream: Dimitri Graziano, Zaphius, Creature, Izzy Zig, Greaves Gaming, Lucky Filmer, Brandon, Wrath of Vaden. I know that guy. Darius Bridges, and Codates. Wrath of Vaden follows my personal stream. That's why I know that guy. He's not a friend of mine personally or anything like that. I don't want to think that we're doing favoritism. Anyway, that's a bunch of people, and we're really excited for all of you to have won that stuff. So congratulations. The other thing that I wanted to make sure we said before we cut out, and I realize I'm going over by a couple of minutes, is thank you to Valkyrie Entertainment for all of the work that they have put into this game. Brant has already been singing their praises in the earlier segments, but we just really wanted to say, folks called out in the chat that they were aware that Valkyrie had been acquired by Sony. And while we're not, we don't comment typically on business type stuff. Obviously that means they're not going to be working with us anymore, but that's totally fine. They did so much good work with us. We're so happy to have had them as a part of our development community, talking to you all the times that they've come on the stream, explaining their work, having them be a part of your community. It's been wonderful to have them here. And so the work that they have done is going to be a part of State of Decay 2 forever going forward. And we're just really, really happy that they were able to spend the time to come in here and lend us their expertise and make so many vast improvements to the game, both visually and mechanically, to how the game is played. And I think with that, we should probably get out of here. So we just realized that our usual stream date 2 weeks from now is President's Day, and we're going to be off. The lab is going to be closed. So we're not going to be streaming at our usual time in the middle of the month. Instead, you got to wait till March 7th. So that's the next time you're going to see us on here. We're going to have even more exciting stuff to talk about then. So we look forward to seeing you. Join us then. And goodbye.
Whoa, Geoffrey disappeared.
I know, I'm gone. I think I was scared off by this dude with the massive coffee can mace.
Well, and he's knocking down fences. In polite society, that's considered rude.